feats of extreme force or degree of strength. That is a definition with which linebacker Brian Cushing is all too familiar.
What kind of man are you, Sharp? What kind of man? I challenge everyone to step up, make the choice, jump or a champ.
Brought down by Cushing in the backfield and picked off Brian Cushing. Brought down to the backfield by Brian Cushing.
How's that celebration?
Touchdown, Houston! Welcome back, Brian!
Hey, if you guys really want, just stay out here for the first series. I'll go out by myself.
Yeah.
I'll do it, seriously. 1 versus 11, I like my odds.
You know, it was awesome because Cush was like the attitude of your team. How he practiced, how physical he was. You know, he had an edge to him with his teammates. He was demanding of everybody. He was going to give himself up to make every play he could possibly make. And just his swagger around the building, it really wore on our football team.
I just think people liked his intensity. People loved watching Cushing play. And his teammates would talk about how he was in the locker room, especially before games, the fire-breathing dragon that he was. But when he went out there, you know, you saw it. He's a Tasmanian devil.
The scramble out to the left, and he's brought down by Cushing in the backfield.
Before Brian Cushing became an NFL linebacker, his love for sports began in Park Ridge, New Jersey, where he attended famed Bergen Catholic High School.
Growing up, I was the first person in my family to actually play football. It was about 3rd grade I started. It was something I took a liking to right away. I loved the competitiveness, I loved the physicality, and I just loved the game. It was about high school, which I decided football was going to be my sport. It was what I was going to try to eventually make it professionally, and it was something that I couldn't stop thinking about all the time.
Following his graduation from Bergen Catholic, Cushing moved on to greater challenges by taking his love for the game to the West Coast.
USC was an interesting experience. I traveled 3,000 miles away from home to go play football at the time, the #1 team in the country. It was a challenge. It was very tough, physically and mentally. It was a grind. It was tough to be that far away from my family, but it was 4 of the best years of my life, being on my own, growing up, and learning a lot about myself at an incredible university.
You know, you go back and look at Brian's history and how he grew up, a high school player, and how he got to SC, how he, went from a safety to a linebacker. And Brian did everything he possibly could do to, to become a great football player, and how he trained and how he worked. And, the way he played, you wonder if he's going to hold up. That was the biggest thing, but that's the only way Brian knew how to play the game.
Cushing would later go on to be drafted 15th overall in the 2009 NFL Draft, where a new opportunity awaited.
Coming to the Houston Texans was a little bit of an unknown for me. I had been to Texas before, but only Dallas. So this is my first time in Houston. But I was extremely excited for the opportunity, especially with a team that was new, kind of was trying to find its identity and figure itself out. I fell in love with Coach Kubiak right away. I fell in love with the city of Houston and a lot of the older established guys on the team at the time, D'Amico Ryans, Matt Shaw, Mario Williams, all just embraced me from day one. Thought I could help the team, and that was, my #1 objective.
When he walked in, there was an air about him and confidence about him. I remember when we brought him in right after we drafted him, it was like, Coach, let's go. There was nothing bright-eyed about Brian being a pro footballer, walking around an NFL building. Brian had those type of expectations.
Cushing's there to sack him. Brian Cushing does the job. Blasted by Brian Cushing. Cushing gets there first, a TFL.
It didn't take long for Cushing to get acclimated to the Texans defense. In his first year in the NFL, he made the NFL All-Rookie team and was named AP Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Rookie year was special. I think any rookie really just wants to come in and contribute and be a good teammate. So to be able to make an immediate impact was very fulfilling. I wanted to help the franchise eventually get to the playoffs and just be a competitor. And that was the most important thing to me. So to come here my rookie year and really just establish myself and help the team was meant a lot to me.
Cushing evolved into not only a great linebacker, but a leader on the defensive side of the ball, and that unit's soul.
When I came in, I watched the year before, the team from the year before, and the players from the year before, and when we started training camp, I showed the defensive team some plays that Cushing was playing. I just said, watch this guy. And I had several plays. I said, if everybody plays like this guy, we're going to have a good defense.
It's one thing to be a good player, and then it's another thing to kind of elevate your game to the next level to become a leader. It was something that I wanted to do right away, but as everyone knows, as a rookie, it's kind of tough. You need to be a little bit more established. So it takes a lot of reps, it takes years to be a leader, and it takes your word to mean something. And there's a lot of categories that you have to check in order to be a leader, but I felt it came naturally.
In Cushing's third year, the Texans won the AFC South and made the playoffs, led by a defense known as Bulls on Parade.
Being a part of a team that was the first to do it as an organization, not many people can say that. To be able to establish a culture and kind of change the mindset of the entire organization and city, to now know there was a proven winner in town and we were just only going to build from there. I think a lot of 2011 was about an attitude, was about establishing a brand of a defense that we wanted to be. And Wade brought an incredible scheme in here with a bunch of great assistant coaches, and we found the right personnel. We played really well together. There was a ton of just consistency in our play, but most importantly, these guys loved playing with each other.
There's a flag down. Brian Cushing has his helmet off. He's bleeding a lot.
I look like a psycho.
I'm just keep my helmet on for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm the smart guy that headbutts someone with no helmet on.
It's funny because when you look at some of the great players in the history of this franchise, some of their big moments that you remember the most aren't necessarily the big plays. With Brian Cushing, what do you think about? Bloody face against Cleveland when he headbutted a guy. He's extremely tough, and he's the leading tackler in the history of this franchise. He's part of so many big moments.
During his time with the Texans, Cushing played with a fearless nature that permeated throughout the entire team. The New Jersey native left an impact that will be remembered by the Texans for years to come.
He was a wild man. I mean, he seemed like he was, but he really knew what he was doing. Now, when he butted the guy in the head, I worried about him a little bit then, but but the rest of the time I thought, this guy, he can really play and he knows what he's doing. But
Well, he was fire, that's what he was. And that's the way he played the game. And, just very proud of him. I love what he stood for. And Brian's personality took a part of our football team that, maybe nobody else could have given us, So he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Running to his left, brought down to the backfield by Brian Cushing. Cushing has a backfield blast.
The player that I wanted to be was competitive and consistent. You want to be someone that your teammates can count on, to know that they know exactly what to expect out of you every single day, and the coaches. There wasn't a practice, there wasn't a play, there wasn't a game that I wanted to take off. Whatever I did, it was full go. And that was the most important thing to me, was I couldn't turn it off. You knew what you were going to get out of me, and that's what I wanted to bring every day.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.